And a happy Thursday to you. Lanny Ford along with you on the bottom line. Drop in with our good friend Juju Phillips. Get an update on Lenore-Ryan football. Good morning to you, sir.
Lanny, good morning. Happy Thursday indeed. Always a pleasure to join you.
You know, for some reason, we've brought back August weather, and I'm not happy about it.
It's gotten a little warmer. Huh?
Oh, it is. It is. And I don't, I was kind of getting used to those 50-degree mornings. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we got spoiled last week when it was, it was in the 50s. Yeah, you're right.
I even heard them talking about this morning, there was some frost in the mountains last week up in the Boone, the Boone area. It got down into, the low 30s. But I know there was a few mornings that we've had some low 50s anyway, and I'll definitely take that. I'll take that all day long.
Hopefully it's right around the corner, Lanny.
Yes. I think it's going to be warm this weekend. What we got coming up this weekend?
Well, the Bears go on the road. They go to Jefferson City, Tennessee, to take on Carson Newman, a nice rival for a long period of time, a team that they've been a thorn in the side of Lenore-Ryan for almost 3 decades, and then LR turned it around about a decade ago and have dominated the series. But this is an important game. Both teams were, I think they were ranked 1-2 or 1-3 in the preseason South Atlantic Conference standings.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Newman comes in 2-1. Bears are 2-1 as well, but LR is 2-0 in the conference. And a win over Carson Newman on the road will go a long way to Lenore-Ryan, so they're staying on top of the South Atlantic Conference.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember my history here, but Carson Newman, is that not the school that had the coach there for like 1,000 years?
Pretty close to it, Lanny.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
Your history, Ken. His name was Ken Sparks, and if fans are really interested, they can go on either Netflix or one of those streaming networks, and there is a documentary about Ken Sparks. You can probably Google it and find it. But, yes, he was a longtime coach for a number of years. They won a number of national championships when they were NAIA, I think 4 or 5. They were the Florida State, so to speak, of the South Atlantic Conference for a number of years. They got over like 25 conference championships, something like that. And, the league has only been around for 50 years. They're celebrating their 50th year this year. And Carson Newman's dominated the league. I say the first half of the South Atlantic Conference season for sure.
I was thinking like a very successful program, and he has how many years? Not too many years since he gave up the program, right?
Yeah, it's been less than 10.
Okay.
He had some health issues, and he passed away, I want to say 2017, 2018.
Okay.
They won with one of his longtime assistants for a number of years. They won for a few years. Then right after COVID, they hit a down spurt, and now they're starting to come back. They hired an assistant coach from Navy to return to their roots kind of thing. They ran the split-back veer for a number of years under Ken Sparks, and now they're running the triple option with, it's a hybrid of triple option and some other things. But, yes, they are running. They're going back to their roots, so to speak, and there'll be a tough test for Lenore-Ryan. Carson Newman's one of the top running teams in the country, and the Bears have been susceptible to teams running the ball against them this year.
And you're looking at they're 2-0 in the conference, 2-1 overall. Of course, that loss they took was against West Florida, number 8 team in the nation at that time. So you got to kind of get past that one. Let's go back to last Saturday a little bit about Emory and Henry. Emory and Henry is one of those teams that snuck up on Lenore-Ryan last year, was it not?
Yeah, they finished. Emory and Henry actually had a really good season. They finished 9-2. Including a win at Emory and Henry over Lenore-Ryan. The Bears jumped out to a big lead in that game up there last year, and Emory and Henry came back and made it a comeback before they knocked off Lenore-Ryan in the closing seconds. Last week was almost similar. Lanny, the Bears jumped out to a 28-3 lead at halftime, and they had to hang on for dear life. The game was tied at 28-28. LR marched its way down to a game-winning field goal. The kicker had a 38-yard field goal attempt. He missed it, but they jumped offside, so he got a second chance, and he hit the field goal with no time on the clock, and the Bears escaped 31-28. So that was a big win at home in front of a nice partisan crowd, but the Bears got to do something about jumping out to some big leads and then being able to hold them and close out games. They couldn't do it last week. They're going to need to do it this week against Carson Newman.
Pretty good crowd on hand, almost 6,000. That's pretty good for that home opener up at Moretz.
It was first night game in 2 years. Lanny, first time under the lights at Moretz Stadium. All of last year and late in the year 2023, they played their games at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think fans are used to it. Historically, they're used to going to Moretz Stadium at 6 or 7 o'clock at night and watching the Bears play after maybe traveling and going to see other colleges during the afternoon. But it was a welcome sight to see a lot of fans from around the Catawba County area and Hickory area. As you say, close to 6,000. I think they were happy to see a night game for a change.
And, when you look at the stats, Juju, Lenore-Ryan just dominated. Should not have been a three-point ball game. Lenore-Ryan held them to just 86 yards in rushing. Lenore-Ryan put up almost 260. Passing was about equal, but overall, Lenore-Ryan total offense 444 yards to 291, and shouldn't have been that close.
No, when it's 28-3, they blocked the punt. LR did in the second half. They had a couple of chances to break the game open, but this simply could not. Well, a couple of factors. One big factor that went into the Bears struggling in the second half was they lost their starting quarterback, Carmani Robinson, who had a great game. He had over 200-some yards of all-purpose yardage. He rushed for 169 yards and maybe threw for another 150. He had opening touchdown of 83 yards on the first play of the game. He went out with an injury, concussion, so they lost their steam. They lost their momentum after he went out late in the third quarter, and they just couldn't get their offense rolling until that last drive when they brought in a true freshman who took the team about 50, 60 yards down the field and set up a winning field goal.
What do we look like for this weekend as far as injuries are concerned?
That's the big question mark about the quarterback right now, is the fact that will he be available? Is he still in concussion protocol? He has stood around in practice. I don't think he's participated so much in practice, but that's a big question mark because he's been a dual threat at quarterback for LR. He's been able to run the ball, like I said, 165 yards rushing last week, and he's been really a fantastic find. His first year starting at quarterback, Carmani Robinson is his name. He's a junior from Monroe. He leads the conference in passing, and he rushed for over 160 yards last week. So he's been a dual-threat quarterback, and he's really maybe coming into his own. It's just unfortunate that he suffered a concussion on what I thought, in going back and looking at the film, should have been a targeting call against him. He got hit as he was going down helmet to helmet. They did not call it, but nonetheless, he may be out with a concussion coming up this Saturday. And,
Juju, when you look at him, played at Monroe High School, as you said, redshirt sophomore, 6'1", 195. That's a good-sized quarterback for a Division II team.
Yeah, he's got speed. He can run the ball. They run, I don't say run options, but they put him out there with like an RPO type thing, and he fakes off inside to the halfback or fullback, and he'll take off around the corner. And that's what he did last week in the first play of the game. He went 83 yards, practically untouched, just on basically an RPO. He just faked it inside, rolled around to his left, and sprinted down the sidelines. Again, he's only started 3 games of his college career. And so, yes, I think he was coming into his own. Just unfortunate that he suffered that injury.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that it's kind of part of it, but hopefully he can bounce back. They were able to close it out anyway. One of the things, and I think I've got the right one pulled up here. Lenore-Ryan, did they step back up into the polls? Did I see that?
LR's been in the national rankings 33 straight weeks.
Okay.
The better part every year since 2018, LR's been in the polls in some form or fashion. They're now 17 in one poll, 19 in another. So, yeah, they're still in the top 20. They started the preseason at 17, and that loss to West Florida knocked them back a few, but they've been able to win back-to-back games. And that win last week over a team that went 9-2 a year ago and probably are going to go pretty much the same record again this year, that's going to help them in the rankings, or at least when it comes to the regional rankings, and a possible postseason playoff berth.
And when you look around, you see some of the I don't want to say the usual suspects, but you do see some folks in there. I guess one that surprises me a little bit is Johnson C. Smith's in there at 21.
Yeah, they had a really good season last year. They probably should have made the postseason. However, they got upset on their final game of the season at Livingstone, who had like a 2-8 record. They got beat, but this year they knocked off Valdosta State in an upset a couple of weeks ago, and that jumped them up. That got a lot of people's attention. They are much improved, and they are, in the top 25 conversation. They will be one of the top teams in the CIAA, along with Virginia Union, another team Lenore Ryan's familiar with, and had them in the postseason last year. So, yeah, Johnson C. Smith they turned their program around because for many, many years, even over the last 10 to 20 years, they've been a program that's either hovered around 500 or way below.
Yeah. And, you talk about that loss to West Florida. When they lost to West Florida was number 8 team in the nation. Now they're the number 3 team in the nation.
Yeah, 3 and 4. They're every bit as good as some of FCS schools.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. They're probably going to win that conference, Gulf South Conference, though, and they get a automatic playoff berth.
Mm-hmm.
We said it. We've talked to people in the past, and I think because of that game the LR lost, if the Bears want to get to where they want to get to, and that is win the regional championship, they got to go through West Florida again. They're going to have to play. They may have to play Valdosta State again. They play them early. They play them later in the schedule, but those teams are the ones. They're probably going to play Wingate again. Wingate's always very tough. So when you're looking at a playoff run, I think that for the Bears to get to the Final Four like they did a few years ago, they're going to have to go down and play at West Florida again, unless West Florida falls flat on their face and lose a couple of games. The Bears are going to have to go down there for a second time in 1 year. But that's, I guess, one of the things that head coach Doug Socia has wanted to do is have a very tough non-conference schedule, and that's what he's done. And, some schools we see do not play very tough opponents. I don't know if that toughens them up or not. But, again, the Bears are going to be ready. If they can get, by the first or second round of the playoffs, they're going to have the West Florida ball club staring at them for a right to go maybe to a Final Four.
One question, now this is going down the road a little bit, and it doesn't come up till October 25th, but did I not see that did Mars Hill's coach step down before this season or stepping down at the end of the season?
He is retiring after the season,
okay.
Lanny. Yes, they got their longtime defensive coordinator was the coach in waiting. So, yes, he will take over once the season is over. And Mars Hill beat Carson Newman last week. They're undefeated in the South Atlantic Conference, so maybe they're riding high in the final year of their head coach.
Yeah, you're thinking about, when you think about like with Carson Newman, they had a long-time coach, and Mars Hill also. And I can't remember Tim Clifton, I believe is the name. Is that not correct?
It is correct, Tim Clifton.
30 years, 30-plus years?
Yeah.
So
he's been around since the late 80s, I believe.
Yeah. So you've got coaches that stay. When you talk about the South Atlantic Conference, you've got coaches that go into schools and basically stay there for a long time. Of course, Wingate switched up a head coach just a couple of years ago, but that's another team sitting at 23 inside the polls as well. Yeah.
The SAC really had a changeover last year. I think 8 of the 10 or 11 football playing schools, 11 I guess, it used to be 11, now 10. 8 of the 11 had new first-year coaches last year. And so, yeah, Wingate was one of them. LR was one of them. Limestone another. Virginia Wise.
Emory and Henry. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, they had a changeover, and this year maybe we want a little bit of more, solid backgrounds for some of these schools. They got some of those guys that are, settling into for their jobs. So, yeah, I think maybe the SAC is as balanced as it's been in a number of years.
I'm going to change subject on you just 1 second because I saw it yesterday, and it doesn't really have an effect on Lenore Ryan. Just kind of want to get your take on it. Chad Moss says seems the SAC is much more balanced this year. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. From LR to Wingate to Carson Newman, Mars Hill, again, is in the mix as well. So yeah, I would say that in the top half is much more balanced than it's been in the past. Throw in Emory and Henry as well.
Yeah. What I was going to ask you about, I saw this yesterday. It doesn't affect Lenoir-Rhyne, I don't think, directly, but I saw where there's going to be a merger between Elon and Queens, and it looks like Queens is going to become Elon. Will they merge those? I know Queens has basketball. Elon has basketball. I don't know what other sports Queens has. How will something like that work, or got any ideas?
Well, that was been the talk in the athletic department here when that news broke. That's the big question. We don't really know 100% how it's going to work. My understanding is that Queens was having some financial problems, that maybe some of those teams will just go away. They will disband some of those teams from Queens, and or some of those players will go to transfer to Elon or anywhere else they want to go, right? So I don't know if they have it all figured out yet, Lanny, because it's not supposed to go into effect until next year, but it's kind of unusual. I don't know if that's going to be a sign of things to come. Instead of some schools closing the doors completely, maybe they merge with another school and keep them both going.
And I'm not sure if Elon has any other like satellite campuses, but I can tell you this. I can tell you this. When I was still traveling with App, back when App was still in the Southern Conference, one of the things that kind of pushed them to where they needed to go to get to the next level was the Southern Conference, and some of the schools like an Elon, they didn't want to increase scholarships. They wanted to decrease scholarships. So when you've got a public school like an Appalachian with 20,000 plus students, they wanted to continue to grow, and they were trying to grow within the guidelines of the NCAA. But the smaller schools, and I think Elon was one of those that said, no, we can't do that. So that was kind of one of the other reasons that Appalachian got out, was they didn't want to constrict, they wanted to expand.
Yeah, again, it's going to be a tricky thing to see what actually happens. You had two private schools, Queens, about 1,500 students, Elon, about 7,000 students.
I didn't realize Elon was that big.
Yeah, it's grown that big. And my understanding is they're getting ready to open a law school in Charlotte. I don't know if that's going to be on the Queens campus or what, but that's part of all this merger, my understanding is. So, yeah, there are a lot of moving parts and still some questions that need to be answered for sure. But, from the athletic side of it, that's going to be interesting because Queens just moved up to Division I 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
They were pretty good in Division II when it came to basketball and baseball and maybe some other sports, but those were the primary two. That they don't have a football program. They looked into the feasibility of starting a football program. This would have been 5 to 10 years ago. But they were good in basketball, and they were pretty good in baseball as well. And I don't know how they are now in Division I, but there are going to be some student athletes there maybe looking for new homes.
Yeah, men's sports, they offered baseball, basketball, cross country, golf, lacrosse, soccer, swimming and diving, tennis, track and field, and volleyball on the men's side. Women's side was basketball, cross country, field hockey, golf, lacrosse, rugby, soccer, softball, swimming and diving, tennis, track and field, triathlon, and volleyball. So they had a pretty good slate. And then you get into some of the other, what I call non-team. They had cheerleading, dance, men's rugby, men's triathlon, and women's triathlon. So they had a lot of sports offerings just to have, basically 1,800 students on campus or in the student body.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's a sign of things to come or not, Lanny, but it's, instead of closing your doors, like I said, this might be the only other option that some of these schools, again, small private schools, are kind of in a pinch.
What other kind of updates have you got for us, sir?
Lenoir-Rhyne's not immune to it.
Oh, no, and nobody is, especially when you're talking about private schools.
Absolutely.
What else you got for us up there, sir, update-wise?
We are still taking names for the 37th Annual Hanley Painter Bear Memorial Golf Tournament. Mm-hmm. That is coming up on October 17th. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be at Catawba Springs Golf Course. They got, I think, 27 holes. They're going to use all 27. All you have to do is Google Hanley Painter Bear Memorial Golf Tournament. You can sign up that way or call our office here at the Bears Club as well. The other thing that we're doing is a silent auction. Lanny, some fantastic prizes all that money raised is going to go towards scholarships at LR. That silent auction is going to go from October 9th to the 19th. Some trips being planned, trips to the mountains, a couple of cruises, some sports tickets. We're working on some things with the Savannah Bananas and some others as well. So, yeah, it should be fun. People can go online and look at some of the items. I'll let you know when they do that and they put the items up for bid. It's going to be a silent auction online, but that all starts October the 9th through the 19th. It's going to be surrounded by homecoming and whatnot. So that should be a pretty exciting event as we're approaching homecoming. The other thing I wanted to mention is the South Atlantic Conference is in its 50th year of football, and the team that won the first championship is the 75 Lenore Ryan team, coached by our fellow friend Jack Huss. And so they're going to recognize that team as well coming up on October the 18th at homecoming. So they have some guys there in the Hall of Fame, some local guys as well that have been on that team. Should be a fun time as well for that.
That sounds awesome. Well, as always, I appreciate your time and love catching up with you and getting what's going on up at Lenore Ryan. Good luck this weekend, and go Bears.
Go Bears indeed. We'll do lunch sometime pretty soon, Lanny, okay?
I eat all the time. We do lunch, we do breakfast, we do whatever you want to do. I'm up.
Okay.
All right, my friend. Have a good one, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
All right, Lanny.
Thanks,
Take
man.
care.
Yeah, bud. That's Juju Phillips. Checks in with us on Thursday mornings, get an update from Lenore Ryan, the new director of the Bears Club. I'm a member of the Bears Club. It's a great organization, and you see some really good sports right here close to home. All right, guys, that'll wrap it up for today. I'm not sure about tomorrow. I'll have to wait and see about if Mr. Rembert's in town. He was out of town last week. We'll let you know. If you see us up here, you'll know. If not, the boys will see you on Friday morning. Don't forget, we've got high school football, and I'm trying to remember if it's North Lincoln at East Lincoln or East Lincoln at North Lincoln. Anyway, big Lincoln County game on WLON. Till next time, see ya.